Can you tell us about the invisible manager? Because we've been talking about SAP trying to control everything and putting layers of management, but you've got this concept of an invisible manager. And is this an invisible manager in your fractal world, or is it an invisible manager in the old traditional world of management? Or both?
Okay, well, I'll start and then you come in. Okay, so the answer is it's a roundabout. And it's the best analogy I can think of, because in a roundabout doesn't have, unlike traffic lights, a centralised control system.
So the roundabout still has an invisible manager.
The roundabout still has an emergent manager. You think it's got one. Yeah.
Yes, it feels organised.
It does. It feels people coming up, stopping, or flowing on. In fact, it's genius. It flows beautifully. But it doesn't have a manager. There's no policeman in the centre. There's no traffic lights, or there shouldn't be traffic lights.
It gets worse if there is a policeman in the centre, weirdly.
Often does. So that's what we're talking about, the invisible manager.
Okay.
Julian, you can add something to
Well, I
this.
like the speeded up images of traffic lights in Tokyo, roundabouts in Tokyo or somewhere. And there's pedestrians and there's cyclists and there's cars and there's trucks and there's buses, and there's a cacophony of activity, but all seem to be coordinated and it all flows. And you think, going back to your question, when we divide this into individual parts, can you explain how each part works? I don't think you could really explain how the pedestrian works in a roundabout.
Well, I think the roundabout works because it does have rules, or one rule anyway, which is you give way to the right. And then you just let it run and it just works.
So, but then from the position of a pedestrian versus a truck, it's very difficult to say how it always works.
There's sort of a rule you can't run people over.
Yes,
But
but they do.
But it happens. But there's also a rule that you don't walk out in front of a truck because it might not be able to stop, or it might not want to stop.
But that's not the rule of the roundabout, is it? The rule of the roundabout isn't do that. If you take the roundabout, for me, there's two elements to it. One is the physical design of the roundabout.
Yeah, somebody designed it.
Now that's really important, because that's shaping the behaviours. That's our pond, which we were talking about, leading to. So getting that right is a clever bit of work.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there's another element of it. You can call that the game of football, the stadium and the pitch and the boundaries and the real things. The other element is the kind of ethereal rule set that goes with it. Give way to the right and keep flowing. So let's say there's two rules.
Yes, in football there's no handballs and you can't foul.
Give way to the right and keep flowing. So it means you don't stop when you come onto a roundabout if it's clear. You flow if you can.
Yes.
Flow if you can. Give it to the right and flow if you can. Combining these two things together, gives an amazing thing.
Yes.
Yeah? And you don't need to coordinate it anymore. So I say, take that in your head and say, how do you do that in your organisation? How do I create that physical workspace, and that rule set that's going to do that magic roundabout stuff? Yeah. And that's what we're talking about.
And in very simple terms, what you've done is you've said each person does everything. Each person does the selling, the design, the production, and we will pay you half your profit, let's say, or whatever it is. Run with it. Okay, but you've set up the game, then you've set up the roundabout, and it all just. And you've said you can buy and sell from each other. Maybe you've put that rule in there as well.
But
and then off they go.
But is that new? I mean,